Hello, welcome to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community. You've come to the right place to tune in and participate with your comments and questions. Love is the greatest healer of all, but sometimes, in order to change our emotions, we must take action in other spheres of our lives. We speak with experts in alternative and complementary health fields and hope you will benefit in some small or great way. Remember, you are wherever your thoughts are. Make sure your thoughts are where you want to be. Welcome, everyone, to the Health In Show, an affiliate program of Homeopathy World Community, or homeopathyworldcommunity.com, or on Facebook. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking about helping to relieve stress in caregivers. So this is really very needed today, especially when people are in sandwich families where their parents are taking care of children and their own parents, and also as the generation ages and we have more elderly to take care of. We're going to have Mike Menkis of Miami, Florida, former advisor at Life Extension Foundation and past president of Health Science Solutions. He's the creator of the Healthy Touch, a unique stress relief hands-on technique, and you can find that at www.thehealthytouch.com. Mike is available for on-site assistance and his expertise for even corporate and military stress management and personal anti-aging strategies, drawing from natural and allopathic protocols, complementary medicine. He even uses homeopathy, which I was very pleased to hear. He may be contacted at drenergyinc@yahoo.com. And we're going to be putting up some slides to give you some more information. Let's just say hello to Mike today from Florida.
Good morning, buenos dias, bonjour.
Bonjour, and comment allez-vous? And so we're going to be talking about whatever you like today. And so we welcome your questions to call in to 919-518-9773 or on Skype at Computers 2K Voice. And it looks like Michelle and Gabrielle are on the chat. You can always put on your comments and questions there, and we'll announce important stuff online. So we will begin with some slides. And just the title of our... Oh, yeah, we'll just do the slide first to say, if you carry joy in your heart, you can heal any moment. And Carlos Santana said that. And welcome to February 17th, 2014. Would you, let's see what's on the next slide, because I'm not really paying attention to my slides right now. So you can find him at stressbreaker.com and Dr. Energy Inc. at Yahoo. Okay, did you want us to show your short video, or do you want to introduce the video to us?
The quick introduction, Debbie, is that for years as a hands-on therapist, massage therapy, I've learned from osteopaths, cranial sacral, chiropractors, physical therapists, people without licenses. Everyone has different techniques. And it always seemed to me that whether it was acupuncture or even massage, the effects were temporary. Then I was introduced to a preliminary lecture by a biocranial osteopath out of Ireland. And he was talking about how to relieve stress above the top of the spine. So that to me, wait a minute, what's all this about? The bottom line was his technique was very martial arts-like. I won't go into too much detail. I said, there's got to be a simpler way. So I developed a very simple hands-on technique. It only takes 2 fingers. The technique, the Healthy Touch, can be used by itself. It could be used by other therapists before they do anything else. For example, if an osteopathic or chiropractic manipulation is called for, the healthy touch technique can relax the person within 30 to 60 seconds so that a very minimal amount of force, in other words, I'm not big a fan of high velocity adjustments, but I've seen over and over again the relaxation response in the client or patient is so rapid that the amount of energy it takes to adjust somebody is very minimal. With acupuncture, meridians change. With thermography, my nephew is a physician's assistant, and he was very skeptical about my airy-fairy ideas about how to relieve stress. Well, one day we're at a fair. There were 2 chiropractors set up with thermography, and he sat down, they scanned his neck area, it was all red, and he looked at them and he said, "Do you mind if my uncle does something first?" They said, "Sure." While he was sitting there, did my technique, they retested with thermography, all the lights were green. He said, this proves it. So without further ado, I would love for you to show the 5-minute intro that any therapist, even mental health counselor, anyone, children can learn this, people in wheelchairs, wheelchair-bound people have learned this. It's a very simple technique, and you'll see the physiological reasons for it.
Wonderful.
The 2-minute healing. The 21st century's fastest stress relief technique. Cranial balance is the creation of Mike Menkis, LMT. Here are a few words from satisfied individuals after their 2-minute healing.
I've had low back pain since giving birth to my daughter several years ago. Mike just held the back of my head for 2 minutes while I was sitting in a chair, and my back pain is gone.
My elderly father walked without his cane for the first time in months. Mike showed me how to treat him myself.
Anyone can learn and use it in 5 minutes. Cranial balance is a simple technique that can be administered while sitting in a chair, bench, car seat, anywhere.
I have found after over 20 years of both receiving and giving therapies like massage, acupuncture, physical therapy, chiropractic, electrical stimulation, unless we relieve the pressure above the top of the spine, symptoms will keep reoccurring.
This therapy is safe and simple to learn for all ages and body types. Children, elderly, physically challenged, bedridden, stressed out, and the rest of us can all learn to give as well as receive cranial balance.
Most pain is referred pain. Just because you have shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, that doesn't mean that that's where your pain is originating from. And this is why symptomatic therapies such as massage, chiropractic, physical therapy, electrical stimulation, oral medications, topical salves, nutritional supplements, even surgery are treating symptoms, not the origin. This is why your pain and stress keeps reoccurring.
There is a fluid which bathes and protects our entire central nervous system called cerebrospinal fluid, or CSF. From the top of your head down to your tailbone, CSF is contained within a closed system with no circulation. When we're under stress and pain, the top of our head, or cranium, consisting of several bones held in place by flexible cranial sutures, actually contracts. Since CSF is within a closed system, the pressure on your CSF rises, and your hypothalamus, midbrain, senses the pressure change. As seen in this HPA axis chart, your hypothalamus may signal your pituitary gland to advise your adrenal glands that your body is in danger. Now your adrenal glands are continually pumping out stress hormone known as cortisol. Depending on how long your HPA axis is artificially stimulated, you may either suffer from too many thoughts, confusion, poor sleep patterns, or just walk around fatigued and dazed. The cranial balance technique. Patient sits comfortably in a chair. You stand behind them. Place your thumb and middle finger within the lateral borders of the indentation, knuckle lines, which are found on both sides of the bony point on the lower back of the head, known as the occipital knob. Have your patient use their neck muscles to gently lean their head back into your fingers with approximately 1 pound of pressure. All you do is offer minimal resistance to this 1 pound of pressure for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, have your patient gently release the pressure. When they are ready to stand, have them walk 10 to 20 steps. Walking reinstates a brand new brain-body neuromuscular coordination.
Very simply, have your patient sit upright in a chair. You'll feel in the back of the head a round knob. This is called the occipital knob. And on both sides are indentations. These are the knuckle lines. You're simply going to hold one finger in each side of the knuckle lines. Stabilize yourself. Ask your patient to gently press their neck muscle, maybe 1 pound of pressure, into your fingers. This is a very comfortable technique for your patient. They hold this for 2 minutes. At the end of 2 minutes, ask your patient to gently release that 1 pound of pressure into your fingers. And when they're able to, ask them to stand up and walk about 10 steps. This will reinstate a new neuromuscular brain-body coordination, and it will have them in a new frame of mind.
Okay. Well, we have some activity in the chat, and I think it's great that we were able to see the video to actually see the demonstration. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here trying to do it for myself. Is that possible?
Absolutely. In fact, if you reach back again behind your head, Debbie, is one side in the indentation more sensitive than the other?
No. I don't feel any really sensitivity.
Right. A lot of people will feel that one side is more sensitive than the other, and all they have to do is gently massage that indentation area on the side that feels a little discomfort. I've had a lot of people tell me, I automatically go to that area whenever I have a headache,
right.
Which is interesting because acupuncturists and a lot of cranial sacral people will hold at the base of the skull, which is equivalent to gallbladder 20. This position corresponds to gallbladder 19, which not too many people talk about, but we can, because if the Chinese text describing the gallbladder 19 points as a point of reference, getting away from physiology, they're talking about excess wind energy and things like that. So from an acupuncture point of view, it's justified as well as physiological.
Acupuncture or acupressure. I like acupressure because it's something that you can do at any time, anywhere. I also, I didn't mention a little bit more about your background. You attended the Florida School of Massage, or do you teach?
Yes.
Did you teach there as well?
I was a student there, and what I really appreciated was that we were told to work on 25 clients or models at no cost so that we can learn what we're practicing or practice what we're learning. Well, I actually recorded over 100 because I figured more is better. But actually, most of the learning took place after school. And I've had some great teachers, again, osteopaths, cranial sacral therapists, reflexology is wonderful, acupuncture, intuitives, chiropractors, physical therapists. The list is endless of people that are teaching just by doing. And a lot of times, you learn by receiving. And I learned what I liked, and I learned what I didn't like. And what did you do with what you didn't?
What did you do with the things you didn't like?
I stopped going to the high velocity adjustment chiropractors.
Oh, I don't know what those are. High velocity. Oh, snap, crack, pop. Okay, so you're more gentle. I like that idea. Another bit about your background is that you did go to the City University of New York and Brooklyn College in child psychology. So you really started out your career very interested in healing people. On the chat, we have Gabrielle Seelman, who uses similar techniques. And tell us what you think of these. She has a method she calls a hand on the forehead and one on the back of the head. She calls it the front rear hold, and she does that for several minutes, and it calms the energy flow between the pituitary gland and the pineal gland.
Yeah, correct.
So that's
beautiful. In fact, again, it's very simple, Debbie. My technique is an evolving technique. People will say, "Oh, you're doing third eye therapy. Oh, you're doing pineal adrenal balance."
Mm-hmm.
The basis of this is very simple. You know, we have children and grandchildren. We're laying the ground for the future. This is just a groundbreaking technique that she's developed as well, that people will use in addition to whatever therapies or whatever their imagination and creativity. And, you know, we're not in textbooks at the moment, so a lot of people who think, oh, I'm not getting any continuing education units, I'm not interested in it. I've had that a lot. It's just a question of time.
She has a second approach. It's the thumb on the mastoid process and the fingers spread to the skull. De-stresses the gallbladder meridian. And every time we say, do this for a few minutes can really feel like a long time, especially if you're as well doing deep breathing. And I always tell everybody one of the greatest things to relieve stress is just to bring your shoulders down. Just lift them up and then bring them down. And there's a number of ways to do that also.
What I found actually, Debbie, is that the 2-minute healing is actually 30 seconds.
Okay. How do you manage that?
Well, while I'm talking to the person, I figure by the time I'm done talking, I'm done with the therapy.
Mm-hmm. And it all can happen so quickly. I like that idea that...
some people are instant. Some people, they'll barely touch my fingers. And one woman, Lily, is saying, Michael, you're sending me such beautiful colors. And after she walked around and came back, I said, Lily, I was just holding your head. You were seeing your own colors. I'm not sending any energy. I'm just holding someone's head. In fact, I like your use of the word acupressure because I call it reverse acupressure, because the therapist is just holding still while the patient is applying the pressure.
So the patient is involved in the process because you're asking them.
That's the hallmark of the therapy. The patient is not just a lump of clay that can be formed. The patient, the client, the human being is involved every step of the process, which never takes more right now than about 40 to 50 seconds.
And I like that. So all we have to do is have a little awareness that we're feeling stressed out, and we can take this technique and use it for ourselves or use it for a loved one, for a friend, or anyone that wishes us to use this hands-on healing technique.
Correct. And there's very few contraindications. I've had people say, oh, I've had neck surgery, this and that. And my response is, you are in charge of the pressure, not me. You're not going to exceed more than 1 pound of pressure. If it's lighter, I'll always ask, are you comfortable with maintaining the pressure that you're exerting at the moment? If someone's comfortable, we'll just hold it for 30 seconds. So I'm trying to think of someone that might have had, and I do like to talk about, adverse reactions.
Well, we have somebody in the chat right now. Michelle is saying that she tried the technique to feel which side was more sensitive, and she said it made her dizzy. And she says these must be pressure points. So what do you do if somebody does feel uncomfortable or has a response to this kind of touch?
In almost 100% of the time, the person is dehydrated.
Uh-huh.
And they could do the skin fold test.
We can't. You need to find where the camera is. There you go. Okay, what do we do with what do we do?
You pick up your skin and drop it.
And then what are we looking for?
You're dehydrated.
We're dehydrated if it takes a long time?
It should be instantaneous.
Oh boy, I need to drink.
Me too.
Well,
we just had a juice.
But also, if a person gets that dizziness, and if they drink, they'll dilute the effect. So actually, you can pre-treat someone with adequate fluid first, or just have some fluid handy if they have that experience during the therapy itself. So I don't really see that as an adverse reaction. I just know from experience that it's extremely easy to manage, and it's a clear indication of dehydration.
Okay, so we're all going to go and get a drink of water as soon as you can get up. And that's what we're being told in the chat over here. Okay, we're going to take a look at some of our slides. And the first one is just saying caring for the caretakers. They are the ones who carry the burden of stress. Mike is in Florida, and he demonstrates and teaches stress reduction to professionals, caretakers, parents, military, corporate employees, children, and elderly. And next one is, research is to see what everyone else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. Albert Zent Jigorgi, MD. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but this is on your website, and you must have selected it for a reason.
Well, that's true about any breakthrough, because remember the story of the nurse from Australia, Sister Kenny, who had children with polio, not in leg irons, but kicking their legs in the pool. And when she came to the U.S., she met a lot of resistance from the established community saying that's not in our literature.
So you've been doing this technique since 2005 and treated over 2,000 people with this hands-on healing. And it's not just stress. It's for migraines, neck and shoulder tension, fatigue, anxiety, ADD. So that means that the little kids. Actually, ADD could be an adult too. Post-traumatic stress disorder, carpal tunnel, low back pain, eye strain, feeling of overwhelm, mood foods. Okay, that must be like allergies?
No, in other words, the desire for mood foods.
To relieve desires, like even for cigarettes and stuff like that?
Correct.
Post-operative recovery, athletic enhancement, so it can be like for a positive, and artistic creativity. Okay. There's a lot of things that it'd be good for. Let's see. You want to talk about any of that?
Well, sure. I mean, I've been in the supplement industry since 1983, and as a former advisor to Life Extension, I've even developed products for Solgar, Life Extension, a division of Taibo called Malibu Naturals. There's a lot of supplements that may not need to be taken if the person's stress is relieved simply, but I see a lot of the times people are looking for something that they can't explain, and it's very simple. If the top of your head is contracted and the pressure on the cerebrospinal fluid is increased, then you're under anxiety because you don't see any danger. It's anxiety. Like, why am I feeling this way? There's nothing out in front of me. It's physiological. It's not psychological. It's not psychiatric. Look, those conditions do exist. But a lot of times, once a person feels the pressure being alleviated, they usually say, I feel lighter. I feel different. And I look at them and I say, what you're feeling is normal. Yeah,
we want to feel light. We want to bring in the light. Okay.
There's so much information coming in from computers, from cell phones, from gossip, from newspapers, from radio, from billboards. If the people are empathic, they're bringing in energy from around the world that they're not aware of. People get used to certain levels of stress. They accommodate, and then they accommodate more and more and more. And I remember when I was visiting my father in the nursing home before I would go to work as a nutrition advisor at an independent pharmacy, I never realized till afterwards how much stress I was under. I had to get up earlier, I had to get over there, I had to fight traffic, school buses, blah, 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 I-95 highway traffic, and show up a few minutes late to be told don't show up late anymore.
Oh, that could stress you out. Yeah, that makes you anxious. So that's a perfect segue into the little homeopathic that we have for caregivers, for those who are stressed out by constantly worrying and having sleepless nights, not getting the rest that they need or the care that they need. And from the spirit of homeopathy, I'm going to do a little reading from Rajan Sankaran, Dr. Rajan Sankaran, about the remedy cocculus. One of the best examples, he says, I have is cocculus for indications of a constitutional remedy, has ailments from loss of sleep, unquote, and nursing the sick. In fact, this means that this central disturbance of cocculus corresponds to a state produced when a person remains awake several nights with watchful anxiety about a sick relative. For example, a mother looking after her sick child. Imagine her state after 4 to 5 nights of such sleepless anxiety. The nervous system is affected. The feeling is of great weakness, dullness, giddiness, imbalance, and nausea. This weakness is accompanied by tremendous sensitivity of the nerves. They are raw and on edge, so they're pretty irritable people. The mental state is of great sensitivity and excitability. Sensibility at the least noise, odors, and even looking at moving objects. So there you can see that they startle easily, and it's also good for seasickness, movement sickness, car sickness, boat sick or train, whatever kind of thing that moving really disturbs them greatly, and then they go into the nausea, weakness. So this aid, he says, will be ameliorated by cocculus in a woman who has been caring for her sick child. But if the same state is found in a person without cause, loss of sleep, with anxiety, cocculus will be doubly indicated. And so I think that's a really good thing to put in your little toolkit for anybody who is undergoing that kind of situation.
Homeopathy is amazing. Again, as we were talking before, the Hahnemann philosophy, the energetics behind it, I've only seen homeopathy not work in a lot of adults because they override it. The effectiveness with homeopathy is pretty evident in children and even dogs and cats, pets. The response is immediate, and they just go on about their life. As adults, we're conditioned to say, that's too simple. We're looking for a complicated answer, which sometimes is needed, but a lot of times, particularly stress, anxiety, the answers are quite simple, the remedies are quite simple, but at the same time, we're all overloaded with information. People are great at advising other people. People are great at saying, yes, but I still don't get it. We're inundated with too much information to begin with to break through to get to the level where we can find what works for us. And everyone's different at different times. We may require homeopathy at work. We may require a supplement to keep our energy levels going up. We may require a friend or family to do the cranial release technique on us several times a day. The beautiful thing is that this is an art. Art is not rubber stamped. It's not, you must do this in every situation. The situations are very simple. What you're presenting, what I'm presenting, what other therapists present, Debbie, are tools. As many tools as you have in the toolbox and you know how to use them, the better you be.
Excellent. Let's do the next slide. Everyone may learn the simple technique to assist each other to reduce stress and pain on a daily basis anywhere in the world, which I love. And I love not having to go to the gym or to have something special, the ball that you bounce on or anything. It's just you and the world, and you're good. And I also, we're putting up here, it's not just for us peon people, but even the celebrities are looking for this kind of healing. And if we can touch more of those people in that way, maybe they would be our advocates in action in government regulations and allowing freedom of health freedom for more people to do that. Let's go to the next slide. Do you want to say anything about caring for the caretakers who carry the burden of stress?
Yes, perfect example is the almost overwhelming look on the daughter. We'll imagine she's a daughter. She's giving loving energy to her mom. We don't know what the mom's condition is. And it's a beautiful picture. The bottom line is that the caregiver needs to take care of herself or himself. And what we're offering are tools that the caregivers can allow themselves to have. A lot of times the caregivers are sacrificing work, personal interests, you name it. What I recommend is the first thing is exercise. Our bodies thrive on movement, Debbie.
Let's do that.
If we find excuses during the day, oh, I had to take care of somebody, oh, I had to go to work, those are excuses, but they're all poor excuses. They don't work. The absolute must requirement for stress reduction is some type of exercise even before you eat breakfast. If that means getting up earlier, you have to get up earlier. The bottom line is you'll have more energy if you do it. You'll have less energy if you don't exercise.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I was just gathering some resource material to do the exercise while you're in bed, before you even get out of bed, to do ankle rolls, foot rolls, point and flex, stretch your arms, maybe even do a body twist. Just breathe into your body and get the circulation flowing and just become more aware, get the blood to the brain, and then slowly get up, especially if you're an older person and you don't have all that great circulation. You can get dizzy when you go from a prone position all the way to sitting up. So, and I really love the fact that you're out there in Florida where you can get outside to the beach, to the water, and see the sunny skies all the time. So you're fortunate.
We're all genetically linked, Debbie, to our heredity. Let's say it's 500,000 years ago. If it was us living then, we didn't wake up and have a nice flush toilet and have a nice fresh glass of water and a coffee pot and something in the refrigerator. We all had to move. If you look at third world countries, people get up and move. The people that live the longest, the people that live the happiest that I've seen in my physical therapy practice, they did one of two things. They either swam or danced 2 to 3 times a week. The body, the human body, your body, my body, everyone who's listening, our
Number
bodies
11.
thrive on motion.
11.
Period.
Right. And so we have the slide, regular exercise, even if it means getting up earlier, is essential for your mental outlook. That's the mind-body connection. Healthy eating and nutritional supplements will keep your energy levels high. So back then, they did not have the juice machine. They did not have, actually, their quality of food was probably a lot better than the quality of food that we have today due to pesticides, insecticides, GMO, monoculture, all of that good stuff, which is another show altogether.
Well, they had other stimulants like snakes and bears and bad weather leaking through the roof. There are plenty of reasons why our ancestors moved a lot. But again, if you look at elderly people, and I'm talking 80, 90, 100 years old, that regardless of their religion, their gender, or even what they eat, the number one commonality among them is whatever they do that day, they don't consider it work. They're busy doing something. So that is the hallmark of longevity. It's not in the bottle. It's in, and I love Richard Simmons because he summed it all up with one word. It's called move.
Move. Yeah. Oh, I love Richard Simmons. Who can forget him? He's from our era. And he's still moving, isn't he? He's still doing his thing.
My favorite expression for myself is form follows function. I don't care what a person looks like, what their body type, ecto, meso, endo, We're so focused on the minutiae, it's ridiculous. I'm more concerned with how functional you are. Can you get up out of bed without tripping and knocking your head against the wall and banging your elbow and take care of yourself? I don't care what you look like. I care how you perform, your activities of daily life.
Right. You just don't want to get up in the middle of the night and walk into the door or the wall. Okay, next, you have something to say about that?
Yeah, it's a learning curve.
Okay, yeah, I put my arms out in front of me. We humans have lost the wisdom of genuinely resting and relaxing. We worry too much. We don't allow our bodies to heal, and we don't allow our minds and hearts to heal. Thich Nhat Hanh. So he is really a famous Buddhist, isn't he? Isn't he a Buddhist? And he has written so much to encourage people to bring peace upon their life on earth and within inside through mindfulness and love in the heart. So do you have a comment about what we have just read?
Well, again, I mean, on my Facebook, people post all kinds of famous quotes from other people, and quite frankly, I'd rather see a post about what someone has to say from their own mind.
Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, let's see some creativity. Plus, you know, you can look at these posters, and there's endless sayings from Bibles and other, you know, famous texts handed down through the centuries. The bottom line is you have to put it in action.
That's true. And you know what? I have been doing what you just said. I think I'm up to day 179, where I'm not really doing a quote from a famous individual, but I'm doing my own meaningful thought of the day, something that initiated me to remember that day and make it meaningful and purposeful. And a lot of people comment on those little quotes, simple things that really, all of these things are quite universal. And that's probably why we rely on the major quotes of famous people, because they are able to put it into words so beautifully that we resonate with it.
Well, again, on my Facebook wall, people post the weather. I mean, if I want to see the weather somewhere, I can look it up.
You can go outside.
Yeah. If someone, Albert Einstein said, you know, something about insanity, I can look it up. Tell me what you say. Tell me what your experience is, because I've seen a lot. I mean,
right.
all the ancient texts all pretty much say the same thing. Know yourself. Know yourself. Oh, I don't know myself. Tell you how I know myself. Let me hear how you know yourself.
Wonderful. What you're telling me and what I'm hearing you say is you really want to connect with that individual.
Exactly.
You don't want to go through a mediator. You don't want to go through a middleman. You just want to hear what is in their heart and what are they doing at the moment. And you don't want an itemized, you know, what did I eat for lunch and stuff like that. Sometimes, you know, it's pretty good stuff, but that's good. Let's see, we have in the chat, Gabrielle says, your breath and your heart calm down. Something you cannot do for yourself, but your beloved. Put the palm of your hand at the point of the thoracic vertebrae number 4. That's something different. So
there's lots of ways to make lasagna. I never said I had the only way to do it. I've had people that I thought from my Archie Bunker position, oh, this person is from a small town, they don't know anything. And in one simple touch, I went into a hologram experience. So, you know, the human body is not a car. We're not carburetors and exhaust pipes and transmissions and tires all separated. A reflexologist can touch one part of your foot and you could just totally release carpal tunnel or a headache. The point of entry really is anywhere in the body. Someone will have an intuitive feeling for that moment, for that person. It literally could be a spontaneous move. Chiropractor was developed by Palmer, who was a magnetic healer. I mean, he never proved his theories, but his touch, whatever his intention was, you know, this was before Reiki and physical therapy and anything like that. Somehow, he just had a very empathic type feeling of what would work on somebody, and it was developed later by his son and other people into an actual form of therapy. So he started out just by going by what he felt, not what he read in a textbook.
This is fascinating. Basically, what you're telling me is that experience is so important for innovation and for body-mind healing and understanding that when somebody experiences something, it might be okay for them as one person, but if other people happen to learn about it or try it, and if it works for them, then that might be building of the experience to say this is something that people need to investigate a little bit more and find out how many people will respond positively to it, rather than dismissing it because it's not in a double-blind, placebo-controlled study, something like that. But we're actually on the ground working with each other.
Debbie, there's plenty of people. They could be children. They could be people in a wheelchair. They could be deaf, dumb, and blind. The amount of information that is available to Stephen Hawking's, I mean, the availability of information to any person is unlimited. It's not to be discounted because of their race, color, creed, gender, age, or what degree is hanging on their wallpaper.
Right. I think that based on what's going on in the chat, I think that there are certain people who might be a little bit more open, their field is open, they're more sensitive to outside stimulus, and they are kind of people who might need to learn to put up some kind of boundaries so that they don't feel everything so much. Are you familiar with that, and what do you do for those people?
That's a great point, because when I went to the School of Massage in Gainesville, we were told, open your heart, open your heart. Well, at the end of each therapy, I was wound up with a massive headache. I was open so much, I felt like I was taking on the person's headache. Then I started reading about different essential oils, the floral oils, the lavenders and the flower type things dispersed my energy. It made me too sensitive. When I started using sandalwood and vetiver, Vetiver, it centralized my energy, and I didn't pick up on any of that. In fact, I recommend either sandalwood or vetiver to people who are diagnosed with fibromyalgia. To me, that individual, typically female, is very empathic. They take on the pain and suffering while they're sleeping because somewhere on the planet something's not happening right. And they wake up with what's diagnosed as specific points on their body that correlate to the diagnosis. But without fail, when I've had women who listen and say, change your essential oil to a centralizing oil, the results are incredible. They wake up feeling pain-free.
Right. You were mentioning that you use, I think it was lavender at night. Is that the one?
Either sandalwood or vetiver.
Sandalwood or vetiver. Okay.
Now, those are centralizing oils. The floral oils, jasmines, the lavenders will disperse your energy. They make it too sensitive.
Okay. Okay. And let's move a little bit through the slides. We have about 15 minutes left. People who are not paid to provide care are known as informal caregivers or family caregivers. The most common type of informal caregiving relationship is an adult child caring for an elderly parent.
Sure. Look at the worn out this woman. You know, just want to hug her and rub her back and give her a glass of water. You know, obviously the picture here is very heartwarming because those of us who have or will take care of anybody, it could be a child, a pet, an elder parent, an uncle, a relative, an aunt, cousin, niece, nephew, grandkid. This is it's almost what might be described, and I know you have some homeopathic words, as being overwhelmed. You know, the situation, it's a nightmare that won't end tomorrow just because they woke up. It's kind of like Groundhog Day. The situation doesn't get any better. So this is a classic look of someone who appears to be despondent that they are the designated family caretaker. The other family members are saying, oh, you do it. And the burden is on her shoulders. Look at her forward shoulders. She can't sit up straight. We cannot see the weight on her head and shoulders. However, it can be alleviated with the cranial technique and different herbs, oils, and homeopathics.
And sometimes sometimes it's not, the words are not enough, and the healing touch needs to be there, like you said, getting a back rub or any of these points, but also homeopathically, and we have folks in the chat mentioning the remedy Ignatia. The remedy Ignatia Mara for loss, for grief, for, you know, this separating of seeing that their parent is not who they used to be, and you can see it in the person's face and the posture of the body. Let's go ahead to the next one. Other types of caregiving relationships include adults caring for other relatives, such as grandparents, siblings, aunts, and uncles, spouses caring for elderly husbands or wives, and this is prevalent with Alzheimer's disease today, middle-aged parents caring for severely disabled adult children, which is also on the rise. As people become unemployed, they become depressed, they have other kinds of problems, and due to the toxins and pollutions in our environment. Adults caring for friends and neighbors. How much is that going on today, I wonder? And children caring for a disabled parent or elderly grandparent. So we're looking at generational. Did you want to add to that?
The stress is everywhere. Stress. I mean, if you're watching commercial TV, the drug commercials cause me stress. I mean,
don't watch them. Don't turn on that TV. You know, I think I was once timing the amount of the commercial that was actually giving information, and then the part at the end that was all of the side effects. I would say the majority is the side effects, and then they try and twist your mind with looking at flowers and people looking in a garden or swinging on a swing. And, you know, they're kind of trying to make a disjoint between what you're hearing, up from disability and death and things like that, and then what your picture is that you're looking at. And what does that do to your mind?
Well, what it does to my mind, Debbie, is when they say, tell your doctor if you have liver failure, blah, 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 blah. Isn't your doctor supposed to tell you that?
Yeah, your doctor is, but they don't, I guess. They say, well, you know, let's check you up again. I hope they do check and monitor all of your blood and your symptoms.
Well, here's where, again, with the downfall of the medical profession is they never tell the patient what nutrients will be depleted by the medication. For example, someone's on Lipitor or any statin, they're going to be depleted of CoQ10 and magnesium.
Absolutely.
I've not met one physician, I don't care where they were born, that ever told the patient, while you're taking statins, take magnesium and CoQ10. Of course, this could be the exception which proves the rule. The other thing is, I've never met a physician that gave a prescription to someone based on their gender. Now, women tend to retain drugs in the system longer than men, but they get the same dose. The other thing, besides veterinarians, pediatricians, oncologists, and bariatricians, the other 96% don't write the prescription based on your body weight. So there's a lot of room for improvement in the medical field, but let's go to what we call complementary medicine. This is where diagnosis in Western medicine rules. Diagnosis, like location. I've had a woman tested by a Chinese acupuncturist that she said she was too high in estrogen. I said, get a blood test. The blood test said she had no estrogen. So I'm pretty skeptical about some of the new age and holistic muscle testing and different modalities. I always recommend to get a second opinion with a medical authority. And then you have a choice. You can listen to the physician, supplement the difference. You can listen to the alternative. Actually, you can do both.
I'll tell you what, we have a lot of good stuff happening on the chat. So folks out there, if you tune into our shows live and you're not signed in, you're missing some good stuff there about remedies and ways to heal. The next slide says you, the family caregiver, are allowed to take care of yourself without feeling guilty. A refreshed caregiver is a much better provider of care when you have developed a much-needed routine. Okay, I'm going to ask the folks in the chat, please post your homeopathic remedies for guilt, feelings of guilt, and we'll mention those on the show. Okay, Mike.
Well, again, the routine, it's like being in training for or an athlete. I mean, an athlete wants to win an event. You don't just walk out on the field and do it. Well, you know, when they show all these film clips of athletes, men and women performing outrageous events, I want to see what they do when they're off camera. I want to see what they're eating. I want to see what they're exercising. I want to see what are they doing to get to that stage. The bottom line is they've developed a routine. And in most cases, they've had a coach. So if you're not able to get into a simple routine, like you say in the morning, do some simple stretches in bed, or if the weather is inclement outside, walk around your house and do some type of light dumbbell work, something, anything before you eat or do anything. As long as it becomes a routine where you wake up and it's part of your daily life, your rest of your day, your stress levels, your guilt levels, you'll be able to look back and say, at least I took care of myself this morning.
Great. We have, okay, on the chat, people have chimed in. Ignatia, the one that also has loss and grief or whatever it is, loss of function, loss of having that person in their life, moving away. We have the remedies, Ignatia. We have the remedy sepia, which is feeling better for exercise and strenuous exercise. We have the remedy staphysagria, which is a person who pushes down their anger into their body and shoves down. They might really be angry that that person is making them, having to caretake them or left them feeling that way. And so staphysagria is a good one for really rough nerves. Then they have Nature Mure, which is our NaCl, our common table salt, also is one for feeling guilty. So we've got, and Dr. Carlos has posted anacardium. Great. Anacardiaceae family is feeling guilt. And that one is for typically people who have been in abusive family relationships, even as a child, feeling like they've been abused. So they also have anger and guilty feelings. And if I look on the repertory, we would look up for guilt, anxiety of conscience, and that is 197 remedies are listed. So even though we've given you a couple of top ones, those are plenty more to go by. And we also have person who is feeling remorseful or repentant. There's 113 remedies. Okay, do you have any comments about all of that? That was really fun.
What I've seen, Debbie, is the difference between a miracle and a healing is time. Some things can happen spontaneously, but I wouldn't count on it. I think all we have to bear in mind is establishing routine and allowing a process to unfold. Homeopathy is very classic. It's almost like peeling back onions. We'll treat this, then after this is resolved, we'll look at a different picture. And it's almost endless, but it's an unraveling rather than an explosion, which, keep in mind, can happen at any moment to any one of us.
Yes, it could. We've got more folks in the chat, and it seems like homeopathically certain remedies are better being given at night and others better in the daytime. So to disrupt your sleep, certain ones, Gabrielle is telling us sepia, don't give it at night. Stress relief techniques is what we've been doing all of today's show. You can practice and learn a simple hands-on technique to alleviate stress on a daily basis. This is something that we now know. Stretch. Sit back and take a breath every hour. There, you can hear Amnon. He's here in the studio stretching with me. You and a family member or friend can trade, giving and receiving a renewed feeling of normal within 1 minute. Or I love that. You know what happens? I'll tell you what happens, Mike. If you tell yourself in your mind, I'm only going to do this for 1 minute. That's all. It's going to be easy. It's not going to take, I think, there's that 15-minute thing, 15-second thing. And you know what happens? You'll love it so much. It does go a lot longer than that 15 seconds or that 1 minute. You begin to really do a lot more stretching, a lot more movement, a lot more deeper breathing, just because you started it and you realize how good it feels to you and how your body needed it.
A body in motion stays in motion.
Great. Okay, here you are you have an outdoor porch studio. Where is this?
This was actually at an outdoor market in Coronado, Panama last year. Every fourth Saturday, they have a farmer's market. The fellow behind me was a Reiki therapist. What I'm doing is I actually spoke to what you see what don't see off camera is the lady's husband. When I spoke to them about what I do, he volunteered her.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see there's a bit of skepticism what's going to happen next. And most people, the first reaction is, don't touch my neck, or, what are you going to do next? And that's the explanation. I love to have that, because all I say is you, the person receiving the therapy, are in 100% control of the pressure. I'm simply going to maintain my fingers in a static position and just use a very gentle neck, what would be called extension, into my fingers. And this technique requires just minimal practice. I want everyone to practice as much as you can so that you realize how simple the technique is and develop your confidence in doing this with friends and family and coworkers on a daily basis. And the whole idea is you won't need to make an appointment with a therapist 3 days from now or 6 days from now. You won't have to drive there in a hurry. Do this on a daily basis. Feel that you are gaining knowledge by doing. Your fingers, everything about you will become more sensitive. You'll become more proficient. Just start doing it.
Right. Practice makes perfect, and you become more confident in yourself when you do it, and then you feel more able to provide this for other people and yourself. So the next slide says, let's talk. Every time you come on to Health In Show, or the next show coming up at 1 p.m. with Marilyn Shannon is the Breaking Free Show, just call in to Computers 2K Voice on your Skype. Check and see, make a journal, write notes to yourself. What are the underlying physiological causes of stress? We're at a time today we're not going to be able to go into it. Go ahead, Emma.
I was going to say something. About the
what?
Sessions that you're doing out there. So you can have a room filled with car seats that instead of the headrest, there will be two fingers pointing up, and people can just come and sit there and adjust it the right way, and they can do it. You don't need a person to be there. Is that possible?
Most people think that we practice this, Amron, but actually I was known as the man with the blue chair. All I did was go to a store and buy an $8 plastic blue chair.
Well, it's your signature chair.
Yep.
That's what they recognize. But I think what Amnon is saying is really pertinent, and that is, can we have just a static mechanical object taking care of us and reducing stress, or do we have to have the connection between humans to have the response that will really reduce stress? What do you say?
I'm going to quote a Latvian friend of mine, a fellow therapist, when we worked at a PGA National Spa in the early 90s, West Palm, and I'll quote his English: "Nothing beats a good pair of hands."
I think that's true. Yep. We are a communal. The human species is communal, and we do need each other. And sometimes, you might begin with the hands-on healing, but then a person might open up and need somebody to talk to after you do the technique, or just to sigh and release, and knowing that there's somebody else there that hears you or is with you, that comfort. Slide number 15 is, we have tons of questions, but we've already done our time. How easy is it to become proficient? We found out it's very easy. Who can be effective stress relief caregiver? Just about anybody. Do you suffer from any of the following? You can see how every part of the face and body is affected by stress, and therefore using stress-reducing tools from your toolbox can help in ways that affect, like you say, referential pain.
Yes, most pain is referred pain. At the same time, therapists can use my technique, Debbie. If it doesn't work, then it's definitely a cause for further investigation with whatever investigative tools that licensed practitioner happens to have.
Absolutely, and I appreciate you mentioning that all of the shows that we do on the Health In or Blog Talk Radio, Homeopathy World Community, these are educational, entertainment, awareness, informational. They are not there for treating, diagnosing, prescribing. They are for you to use as your own tool. We have a situation on the next page of family conflict, it looks like, and that can absolutely be a stress causation. And then we have the next one. We're just running through these of even joyful situations can be stressful, can't they?
Well, stress is good. We can't look. Exercise is good. Everything is good. What we're looking at here is the returning GI. Now that person has to reintegrate back into normal society, which is going to take time. The children, the wife, the friends, they can learn the healthy touch technique to allow the reintegration to happen a lot sooner than later.
And then we have learning the hands-on healing technique. We really appreciate you today being with us. The next one is if you're just, sometimes people are not, a lot of the work is people who are researching things to help their elder or their child. And they spend long hours at night at the computer. So this is another thing that people can do for themselves. And then we have the photo of the head position. These images on the PowerPoint will be on Homeopathy World Community. I will upload them. And then we're going to end today with total relaxation. We want to thank everyone who has joined us today, who shared our shows. The last PowerPoint for slide tells you that we love you, Amnon. We love you, Mike, and all of those people who have been giving us their knowledge from their experience. Gabrielle Seelman, Dr. Carlos, Michelle, Shelley, everybody out there. And next Monday, we're going to have, that's the 24th of February already? We're coming to the end of the second month of this new year, 2014. Michelle Shine, the author of Mesmerized, and you are not going to want to miss it. Then March 3rd, Dr. Dinesh Schwan, who does case witnessing. He travels around the globe teaching this technique of understanding and observing people and children. March 10th, Jackie Griffin Sinnott from England, from London. She has Rhymes for Remedy, a really fun book. And we thank Nissan Communications today and everybody out there. Let me see. On Wednesday at 6 p.m., we're going to have Alan Phillips on Blog Talk Radio for 1 hour at 6 p.m. Please note the change. We've moved from Thursday to Wednesday at 6 p.m. on vaccinations and your rights in the United States. A whole nother topic, but you know how we feel about it. Love goes out to everybody. Waves of awareness. I feel so relaxed today. Yay! Bye-bye.
Yeah.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, and if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by thatvidblasterguy.com, carolinaapparel.com, and deltaforce.net.